hearing Introduction to SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM by Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. We came to know that Vedas are the authority in transcendental truth, and that we have to accept the direct meaning, not the indirect meaning, as Sarvam Bhattacharya was explaining Vedanta Sutra. In one sense, that is more dangerous than Buddhists. Buddhists, they openly declare we don't believe in the Vedas. But Mayavadis, they say we believe in the Vedas, but they misinterpret. So in one sense it is more dangerous, in another sense it is better than Buddhist, because at least they are accepting the authority of Vedas, and then just you have to explain to them what the Vedas actually say. And then Sai Maharaj also said that the Vedas also say about the stool of cow is pure, and the bone of animal that is of shell, that conch shell, is pure. Although bones and stool are impure, but Vedas say in these two cases they are pure, so we are accepting. The examples given by the Lord of the conch shell and the cow dung are very much appreciative in this connection. If one argues that since cow dung is pure, the stool of a learned Brahmana is still more pure, his argument will not be accepted. Cow dung is accepted, and the stool of a highly posted Brahmana is rejected. Because Vedas does not state this, it's about the cow. The Lord continued. One time one person asked our Gurudev, we see sometimes Krishna giving mercy to Putana or some other demons, but not to Brahmins. Then Gurudev explained the Yogic Brahmins, those. Gurudev explained that in the case of Putana, actually she wanted to do this. When Bali Maharaj was there, and Baman Dev came, very beautiful, Supreme Lord, in the form of dwarf. So the daughter of Bali Maharaj became attracted to that Baman Dev. And she wanted, and he was very small, young, so she wanted to give breast milk to him. This affection came, awakened. But when Bali Maharaj was tied up, then she became irritated by Bamandev, then she wanted to kill him by poison. So both these desires were fulfilled, she became Putana. That is why she got both. But in the case of Yogic Brahmins or some other proud Brahmins, they are not devotees, they have something against pure devotees. That is why they cannot get mercy, because Krishna is in the heart of every living entity. He knows what is in the heart. That Gopal Chapal Brahmin, we heard here also, he was high class Brahmin, but he committed offense to Srivas Pandit. So Mahaprabhu punished him. So Krishna knows everything, what is in the heart of everyone, and he is giving accordingly. So here the Lord continued. The Vedic injunctions are self-authorized, and if some mundane creature adjusts the interpretations of the Vedas, he defies their authority. It is foolish to think of oneself as more intelligent than Srila Vyasadeva. He has already expressed himself in his sutras and there is no need of help from personalities of lesser importance. His work, the Vedanta Sutra, is as dazzling as the midday sun, and when someone tries to give his own interpretations on the self-effulgent, sun-like Vedanta Sutra, he attempts to cover this sun with the cloud of his imagination. Mahaprabhu told this, you are doing this. The Vedas and Puranas are one and the same in purpose. They ascertain the absolute truth, which is greater than everything else. The absolute truth is ultimately realized as the absolute personality of Godhead with absolute controlling power. Vedas are called Shruti, that which is heard. They are not written by anyone, but it is heard in meditation or from Guru, so it is called Shruti. Puranas are called Smriti. When one realized the truth and his writing, that is called Smriti. In Puranas it is there, but the purpose is same. There is no difference. Some they don't want to accept the Puranas, but that is not correct. Jiva Goswami said Puranas are complementary to Vedas. They are not against. They are speaking of same thing in different format only, but they are one in purpose. They ascertain the absolute truth. So he is absolute controlling power. As such, the absolute personality of Godhead must be completely full of opulence, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. Yet the transcendental personality of Godhead is astonishingly ascertained as impersonal. He is eternally endowed with totality of all this opulence. In this world, someone may get much money, but after some time he will lose it, or he will die and he cannot take with him. Someone may be very beautiful in young age, but after some time he becomes ugly. And fame, today you are very famous, tomorrow everyone criticizes, so it is all the time changing. But transcendental Supreme Personality of Godhead is always full of all this. We may have something and temporary, but he's full and for all time. All this he has. The impersonal description of the absolute truth in the Vedas, our Gurudev, I remember it now, our Gurudev, whenever he met Srila Jayapataka Maharaj in Mayapur, Gurudev always liked to tell him that your Gurudev very nicely explained who is Bhagavan. And Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj explained this, who is Bhagavan, one who possesses all these sixfold opulences in full. He is called Bhagavan. And he used to explain this. I heard in Mayapur one time. The impersonal description of the absolute truth in the Vedas is given to nullify the mundane conception of the absolute whole. Personal features of the Lord are completely different from all kinds of mundane features. In Vedas you will find Brahma is Nirakar, formless, no form, Nirvishesh, and Nirshakti, and Nirishesh, Nirakar, all this you know, Nirgun. What is the meaning? Mayavadis, they don't understand. They think, yes, absolute should not have form, because we see in this world, if something or someone has a form, that is limited. and it can stay only in one place. It has beginning and end, but Absolute must be opposite to this. He must be unlimited, so he must not have form, otherwise he will be limited. That is their intellectual understanding, not realization of the Absolute truth. So when the Vedas say he is Nirakar, it means he has no material form. You should not try to imagine him in such limited way as we experience in this world. And he has no any these material attributes, all this, and he has no material qualities. For this reason they are saying, Vyasadeva is saying, to define that, to nullify the mundane conception. But that does not mean that absolutely he has no form. He has a form, but that form is spiritual form, unlimited, not limited by any material, this time and space, all this. Personal features of the Lord are completely different from all kinds of mundane features. That is why Nirvishesh, because that is Savishesh, he has transcendental qualities. The living entities are all individual persons, and they are all parts and parcels of the Supreme Whole. If the parts and parcels are individual persons, the source of their emanation must not be impersonal. He is the supreme person amongst all the relative persons. Our Gurudev used to say, something is the cause of something. Nothing cannot be the cause of something. If we see persons here in this world and personality is attributed to Atma, not to the body, because when Atma leaves that body, then there will be no personality. You cannot take this dead body to vote for this or that president, or any knowledge you cannot get. So actually Atma is a person. When Atma leaves, everything is gone. When Atma is present in the body, it enlivens. So we see as a person like this. So if individual souls are persons, what is the difficulty in understanding that Absolute, the source of all this, is a person? What is the difficulty? He is absolute person. Because Shruti says, Jatova imani bhutani jayante, from whom all these individual entities are coming. Jatova imani bhutani jayante, jeno jatani jivanti, they are maintained by him. Jeno jatani jivanti, jat prajanti abhishang vishanti, they will enter into him. Tat bijigya sasva tat eva brahma. You should think he is Brahma, supreme. You have to inquire about him. Tad vijigyasasva. You should inquire. Atato Brahma jigyasa. You should know about him. You inquire about him. So if we are persons, why he cannot? And if we have so many forms, how the cause or the source can be formless? Nothing cannot be the cause of something. Something is the cause of something. From nothing, nothing comes. Gurudev gave one example. Someone may say, no, when you rub two wood together, arani wood, then fire comes from nothing. Before he was not there and then coming. No, fire was there as element in the wood. Only he became manifested, but he was already there. So like that, Supreme Lord is existing. And he is the cause of everything, and he's a person, and he has spiritual form. And yes, also one Mayavadi, he somehow became attracted to Parangurudev, and he surrendered to him and took mantra from him and was doing some bhajan. Then one time our Gurudev was with him in Vrindavan mat together in the room, and that person, that devotee, God brother, now he was telling, yeah, this is good devotion for the time being, but ultimately there is ultimate reality is impersonal, otherwise limitation is there. He has no formless. Then Gurudev tried to explain to him in many ways about the teaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he could not accept. All the time he was telling, no, ultimately is formless. Otherwise, how? There will be limitation. Then Gurudev said, okay, from where you heard this about impersonal ultimate reality? He said, I heard from my previous guru. Then Gurudev asked, does he have a forum or not? He said, yes, he has a forum. And you yourself are speaking to me in a forum. And from where your previous guru got that knowledge? From some person. And he from some person. So you tell me, with the forum, you tell me one instance, one practical instance, that this knowledge about ultimate reality being formless, impersonal, was gotten from impersonal something. You give me one evidence. There is no such evidence. So how? Nothing can be the cause of something. And practically also we are not having any experience that something impersonal, formless, will give knowledge about himself. There is no practical experience. So then that Mayavadi was able to give up those ideas and accepted pure devotion fully. If the parts and parcels are individual persons, the source of their emanation, because Janmadi Asayata, we hear in Brahma Sutra, you should inquire about Brahma. Now is the time to inquire about Brahma. And first definition of Brahma comes in the second sutra, Janmadi Asayata. From him everything comes. So if everything comes from him, and we are observing these living entities as person, why he cannot be person? Our Gurudev gave one example. Horse begets horse. Cat begets cat. From cat, cat is born. And from horse, horse is born. And from chicken, chicken is born. From man, man is born. Then Guru said, I am not speaking about crossbreeding, but in general, we see this, that horse begets horse. So, Supreme Lord, all living entities are coming from him. Jato Vaimani Bhuta, this Taittiriya Upanishad is there. All living entities, and they are persons, spiritual persons. Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam. This, he is supreme person amongst all the relative persons. This is this verse. Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam. You will find in Upanishad. He is eternal among many eternals, and he is conscious among many eternals, because conscious being begets conscious being. Horse begets horse, and supreme conscious being, we are part and parcel, we are coming from him, Janmadi Asayata, and Jato Vaimani Bhutani Jayante, they are coming from him. So if we are conscious persons, he is conscious person. What is the difficulty in understanding? From Brahma, they are coming. From person, supreme person, we are coming. The Vedas inform us that from him, Brahman, everything emanates, and on, yeah, you see, I always explain something and then it comes here. I'm going too fast. The Vedas inform us that from him, Brahman, everything emanates, and on him everything rests. And after annihilation, everything merges in him only. That is this verse I was just telling, Jato Vaimani Bhuta. And therefore, he is the ultimate dative, causative, and accommodating cause of all causes. All these three cases are used. From him, they're coming, they're maintained by him, into him. Dative, causative, accommodating cause of all causes. And these causes cannot be attributed to an impersonal object, because impersonal has no any features, and they are saying he has no any power, nir shakti. So one time, one Mayavadi was speaking one speech there in one place, and he said that ultimate reality is impersonal. But because we cannot meditate on impersonal formulas, so he, that impersonal, takes some forum, Maic forum, to help us in our meditation in beginning stages. So you can meditate on Krishna or Ram or Kali or Shiva or your wife or your dog or stone or whatever you like. It is all meant only for getting concentration. That is their conception. So you can meditate on, on your wife, no problem, or a child, anything. All same. So for this, but ultimately it is impersonal. Then Gurudev asked him, you said that Brahma, ultimate, is Nirakar, formless, Nirvishesh, without any features, Nirgun, Nirshakti, no any potency. If he has no any potency, means he's potent, he's impotent, he can do nothing. So then how he accepts this material form? Because he cannot do anything. It is irrational. You already said he has no potency. It means he can do nothing. Then how he can do this? It is irrational. Because it is not actually true. They are only speaking this. Mayavad is purely theoretical, not any practical thing. That is only to, that is Mayavad, Mayavada, illusory talk. It has no practical basis in the truth. So these causes cannot be attributed to an impersonal object. But because the Shrutis clearly say that all these things are his features, so we must understand that they are not material but transcendental. The Vedas inform us that he alone became many. Eko bahunam jobida. Yes. Eko sham bahu. No. Eko ham bahu shami. This is also in Upanishad. I am one, but I will become many. Means during, yes, when Vishnu, Mahavishnu is resting, when everything is inside him, that time he is one. There is no creation, no this. But then he desires, I am one, I will become many. Then material universes come out, and here it is stated, the Vedas inform us that he alone became many. And when he so desires, he glances over material nature. That he was alone does not mean that first he was alone and then he created jivas. No, because jivas are also eternal. It means he is bringing them out, manifesting. They're eternal, there was previous creation was also there, they did their actions, then they were merged in him, sleeping, resting, but their individuality is retained even when they are there, and their karma from previous cycle is also stored. That information is there. They don't start from zero. No, from before. Otherwise, Krishna will be guilty. Why that person became demigod? Why that person became human? Then he will be guilty that he's partial, and no. It is according to their actions, Jiva's action, Krishna only giving the fruit. So, that he's alone does not mean that nothing is existing. No, everything is resting in him. And he's out because one there in Priti Sandarbha you will find of Jiva Goswami about different goals of life, human life. Dharma, Artha, Kama, then moksha is coming, liberation and different type of liberation. So someone puts doubt. Liberation cannot be actual, because why? We see that if jivas are liberated, then one by one gradually, then this world will become empty. There will be no jivas. But we are seeing so many jivas. So this cannot be. Then from some Purana, Jiva Goswami said that they were liberated, but then Krishna creates new jiva and fills up the universe with those new jivas. But then there is doubt how jivas can be created. They are eternal. So here creation of jiva means to manifest their karma from previous cycle. Some jivas are resting, sleeping, and when the time comes, when Krishna wants, then he will give him that karma which he already stored, so manifesting. That means the creation of jiva, not from zero, from nothing, but to activate the karma of that jiva. And there are unlimited jivas. So this creation, in this creation, unlimited jivas are all the time participating, and unlimited jivas can be liberated. Infinite minus infinite is not zero. Infinite minus infinite is infinite in mathematics. Infinite multiplied by infinite is infinite. Divided by infinite is infinite. Infinite plus infinite is infinite. Infinite minus infinite is infinite. So unlimited jivas are there. We cannot understand this with our brain, because our brain, mind, they are all limited. How they will understand unlimited things? Only through revelation it is possible to realize there are unlimited jivas. So there is no problem in creation and all this, no problem. Before he glanced over material nature, there was no material cosmic manifestation. Therefore, his glance is not material. Material mind or senses were unborn when the Lord glanced over material nature. Thus, evidence in the Vedas proves that beyond a doubt, the Lord has transcendental eyes and a transcendental mind. Saikshata means he observed, he saw. So how he can be formless or impersonal if he's seeing? Upanishad Shruti clearly says he glanced over. This is in one Upanishad, I forgot now, but in one Upanishad, Saikshata is the mantra. Saikshata, he glanced. Thus, evidence in the Vedas proves that beyond a doubt the Lord has transcendental eyes and a transcendental mind. They are not material. His impersonality, therefore, is a negation of his materiality, but not a denial of his transcendental personality. This is the difference between Mayavad explanation and actual explanation by those who have seen the truth, the Vaishnavas. Sada Pashyanti Suraya, they are always seeing the absolute truth through their divine eyes. So they are saying that is wrong interpretation. That does not mean that he has no form at all. No, that Nirakar means he has no material form, but he has transcendental spiritual form. Brahman ultimately refers to the personality of Godhead. Impersonal Brahman realization is just the negative conception of the mundane creations. That is why you will find in Krishna Samhita by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, there are two types of samadhi realization. One is natural and sahaj, yes, sahaj samadhi, natural, and one is unnatural, artificial, or one is nirvikalpa, one is savikalpa. The Gyanis, they give different interpretation of nirvikalpa and savikalpa. They say nirvikalpa means without any limitation of time, continuous samadhi, and savikalpa means you get some glimpse, lasts for some time, and then you fall out. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur said no. Nirvikalpa means where there is no alternative as opposition. Like to realize Brahman, you have to negate all material things. Brahman is not this, is not this, is not this. So perception of Brahman or conception of Brahman is dependent on some alternative. But in Nirvikalpa, this Vikalpa means opposite. But Nirvikalpa means there is no necessity of any opposite. When one sees Supreme Lord, everything is included there properly. So to be defined, there is no need of any opposing material thing. Everything is defined directly. So here, this Brahman realization is just the negative conception of the mundane creation. We see form is limited, so yes, Brahman must be formless. We see something in this world, yes, Brahman is not this, is not this, not this, not this, so just opposite. But that is intellectual. But actual realization means you will find all these conceptions, as further here says, Paramatma is the localized aspect of Brahman within all kinds of material bodies. Ultimately, the Supreme Brahman realization is the realization of the personality of Godhead according to all evidence of the revealed scriptures. He is the ultimate source of Vishnu Tattvas. In Vedanta Sutra, you will find Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now is the time to inquire about Brahman. Janma Dyasayata. From him everything comes. But it is not clear what is meant. And so many statements in Upanishad, then it's difficult. But in Bhagavatam, it is very clearly stated. In first verse of Bhagavatam, he is Krishna. From him everything comes. He is Satyam Param. And all Vishnu Tattvas, Ete Chanksha Kalapungsha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. All these different avatars, they are avatars. But Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan, is avatari, source. Ultimate source of all Vishnu Tattvas also. Yes, the Puranas are also supplementary to the Vedas. The Vedic mantras are too difficult for an ordinary man. Women, Shudras, and the so-called twice-born higher castes are unable to penetrate into the sense of the Vedas, means those Upanishads and these. And thus, the Mahabharata and the Puranas are made easy to explain the truths of the Vedas. In his prayers before the boy, Shri Krishna, Brahma said that there is no limit to the fortune of the residents of Brajabhumi, headed by Sri Nanda Maharaj and Jashoda Mai, because the eternal absolute truth has become their intimate relative. The Vedic mantra maintains that the absolute truth has no legs and no hands, and yet he goes faster than all and accepts everything that is offered to him in devotion. The later statements definitely suggest the personal features of the Lord, although his hands and legs are distinguished from his mundane hands and legs or other senses. This is also one verse of Upanishad. You will find in Jaiva Dharma by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he gives all these verses when he is explaining, refuting Mayavad, about how, yes, he has no legs, no material, but he goes faster and he accepts everything with his hands. Brahman, therefore, is never impersonal, but when such mantras are indirectly interpreted, it is wrongly taught that the absolute truth is impersonal. The absolute truth, personality of Godhead, is full of all opulences, and therefore he has a transcendental form of full existence, knowledge and bliss, Satchidananda. Purna Satchidananda. We are Onu, atomic or infinitesimal Satchidananda. Because horse begets horse, we are coming from him. He is Purna Satchidananda, complete, full Satchidananda. We are Onu, small Satchidananda. When we come in contact with him, we are fully satisfied. That is why, because we are Satchidananda, our Parangurudev explained this. There was one time in Jalandhar, some big Pandal program they organized for the appearance of Mahaprabhu, and they invited Parangurudev to inaugurate that. So Parangurudev was going from the house by walking because it was very near to inaugurate at 8 p.m. Then suddenly some few cars, black cars, 4 cars, they stopped there, blocked. And they came out, some persons, and they said, Swamiji, we saw a newspaper about you. So we came here to speak with you. Then Parangurudev said, actually, I am going to that inauguration program. They invited, so I cannot give my time now. Then one local person, one who was organizer, he told to Parangurudev, no, there are some important persons of the city. So you give them some time. I will tell them there you will be little late, 15 minutes. So then Parangurudev went back to house and they sat, and one income tax officer, Mr. Pandey, he challenged our Parangurudev. Swamiji, I don't believe Atma Paramatma. I don't believe Atma Paramatma. What I cannot see, touch, or taste, with my senses, that does not exist. It is all fictitious. I have come to you with 20 questions you have to answer to me. Then Parangurya said, okay, he was never disturbed because he's transcendental person. If transcendental person is criticized, challenged or whatever, that does not touch him. He's in his own position, irregardless of what the Mahaprabhu also, other sannyasis might all the time criticizing him. He did not mind. But we become disturbed because we have false ego, we cannot tolerate any disrespect. So we become disturbed and angry. But those who are beyond, they are unchallengeable. They are not disturbed. So Paranguriv smiled, okay. Then he was writing those questions. While writing those 20 questions, already 15 minutes passed. Then Paranguri said, if I am to reply to each of these questions at least 5 minutes, then it will take 100 minutes. So I cannot give so much time. You come tomorrow. They said, no, tomorrow we are going some other place. Then Guru said, what I can do? I already promised them I will inaugurate. So Parangurudev stood up and went there. Then on the road, this Sahib, Pandey Sahib, he came to Parangurudev. Swamiji, with great expectation I came to you. My mind is very much disturbed. You please give me some mantra or something that I can get peace of mind. My mind is so much disturbed. Then Parangurudev smiled and he said, Pandey Sahib, you are deceiving me. You are cheating me. No, Swamiji, really, I am having much mental disturbance. Very much. You please give me some mantra or something. Then Parangurudev said, no, you are deceiving me, Pandey. I said, no, Swamiji, why you are again and again saying I'm deceiving? Really, I have mental disturbance. Then Parangurudev said, because already before you said that you don't believe anything which you cannot touch with your hand, you cannot see with your eye, you cannot taste with your tongue, that is fictitious. It does not exist. So have you seen your mind? Is it green color or yellow color or what color? Have you touched your mind? Is it soft or hard? You tasted your mind. Is it very sweet or sour or salty or what taste? You did not. So there is no question of existence of mind. Mind does not exist. If mind does not exist, then where is the question of mental disturbance? It is all fictitious. You yourself said you don't believe. Then he said, no, Swamiji, it is true. Okay, I am not seeing my mind, not tasting it. But I know there is mind by the stream of thoughts. I know. Then Paranguri said, you see, this is your answer. One can also know about the Atma. Because you ask any living entity, do you want to die? He will say, no, I don't want to die. How you will die? Surely you will die. We see everyone is dying. How something temporary can desire to live eternally? From where this desire is coming? Something temporary cannot have the desire for eternal, but we have this desire. So this desire proves in our real self we are sat. That is why we are desiring this. And this is not the property of the body. And no one wants to remain fool, stupid. Everyone wants to know. But from that body you cannot get any knowledge. From where this inquiry and this desire to know is coming? Something devoid of knowledge cannot have the desire for knowledge. But we desire to know. From where this is coming? It is coming from Chit. And everyone wants to be happy. If you bring dead body to someone, that will not give any happiness to anyone. Even the child of some parents, if he suddenly dies, he was giving so much happiness, but that dead body will not give any happiness. So we demand eternal existence, we desire knowledge, we desire happiness. These desires prove there is Atma, which is Satchidananda. But we are very small Satchidananda. But we have this desire. That is why we are searching this, but in wrong procedure, in wrong place. We all want Satchidananda because in our real self we are Satchidananda, and Atma requires Atma. Then from Upanishad, Gurudev gave that verse, Atma vare drashtavya shrotavya mantavya nididhyasitavya. You should see the Atma. Here means Paramatma. And you should hear about him. Atma vare drashtavya shrotavya mantavya. You should think about him and you should meditate on him. Nidhyasitavya. It is should, you must, because that is your requirement. So by coming in contact with him, we can be fully happy because we desire this. So Parangurudev said, these desires prove that Atma exists. Although you cannot see with these material senses, but with transcendental senses you can see Atma, its form, everything. And if you go very deeply into the matter, you will see that the source of all Atmas is Paramatma. You can realize all these things. Then that Pandey Sahib was silenced. So you cannot challenge a realized soul. A realized soul is already in living in the truth, seeing the truth directly. So who will disturb him by any kind of foolishness? He comes to awaken us. So he has a transcendental form of full existence, knowledge and bliss, Satchidananda, Purna Satchidananda. How then can one establish that the absolute truth is impersonal? Nowadays there is some, that was there, the ultimate is impersonal, but nowadays there is some Jiva impersonalism also going on. Jiva is impersonal. But Jiva is not impersonal. It is coming from Krishna, who is person. Nitya Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam. He is eternal and conscious. And we are coming from him. We are also individual. We are Anu Satchidananda. So that is there all properties of Sambit, Hladini and Sandini, but in small proportion. So we are small, but now covered by Maya. That is why we don't perceive. And yes, there is, like Krishna has a shine, Jiva also has a shine. But if you accept devotion, then you can perceive, by the grace of Radha Krishna, you can perceive the actual eternal form of the Jiva also. It's not impersonal and getting personality. No, it's already personal, but it is unmanifest when Jiva is bound, and you can manifest only by devotion. You will find in Vedanta Sutra in fourth pada means fourth part, fourth chapter, verse number 1. There, this question is raised. When Jiva is liberated, will it attain some form or will manifest its own form? So there, Baladev Vidyabhushan and all the charges, they explain it will manifest its own form. but that will be by devotion only, because that is actually liberation. Other liberations are not, they are temporary or not full liberations without devotion. When you get devotion, that will be manifested and you are actually liberated. Brahman, being full of opulences, is understood to have manifold energies, and all these energies are classified under three headings under the authority of Vishnu Puran, which says that the transcendental energies of Lord Vishnu are primarily three: his spiritual energy and the energy of the living entities are classified as superior energy, whereas the material energy is an inferior one, which is sprouted out of ignorance. So means internal potency, marginal potency, and Maya. The energy of the living entities is technically called Kshetragya energy. This Kshetragya Shakti, although equal in quality with the Lord, becomes overpowered by material energy out of ignorance and thus suffers all sorts of material miseries. When we become averse to Krishna, then Maya envelops and then we forget. In other words, the living entities are located in the marginal energy between the superior spiritual and inferior material energies, and in proportion to the living being's contact with either the material or spiritual energies, the living entity is situated in proportionally higher and lower levels of existence. Tomorrow we will hear further. So if we want to enjoy Maya, then we will go down. If we want to serve Krishna, taking shelter of Swarup Shakti, his internal potency, then we will go up to transcendental plane by the grace of Swarup Shakti. And as I told, the Jiva in that transcendental plane is directly the doer. With your transcendental form, means the soul's form, eternal form, you are acting there, active, you are doing everything directly. But when you are in a Mayic world, then we are not directly moving this hand. This hand is different from myself, from Atma. This is instrumental. This material energy, mind and body, senses, all this, Atma is using as instruments for doing things. But like magnet is moving iron fillings, that small particles of iron, you will put magnet, it will pull or push or anything, but not directly touching or directly doing. Like that, we are using instruments here in this world, but there you are yourself, you are doing everything. But by the blessing of Swarup Shakti, internal potency, not independently. Hari Bol.